Morning. Hi. How are you today? Wake up fresh and ready? Yeah. So welcome to the second day of the DCN for strengthening communities through digital literacy. My name is Alexandre Levosi Sayad. I'm a Brazilian journalist and media literacy expert and proud member of the DCN team. And I'm here to open the work today's work. That will be a really interesting first panel because we are going to address this main subject, which is digital literacy, within this very same region that we are. Asia, South Asia, and including neighbor countries here, which I think is important. I'm really proud to moderate this panel because it counts with some people that I admire so much, I work with, and I don't see them so frequently. So it's an opportunity to meet in person. So I'd like to call our, I think I will introduce you here. I think it's better. Yeah, you can just come, you're four, and then we start here. Just a round of applause, please. Mariana, they said to start up, so I started. Okay. No, I think I sit here. You sit here. Yeah. Because I'm a kind of. Yeah. It's better. Uh, I'm looking to my mobile screen, my cell phone screen, but don't take it bad because we prepare everything here. Okay, so I'm looking for I'm looking for essentially the thing that we need to discuss here. I introduced our participants here. I'm only a moderator, so I'll let them speak most of the time. I'll just make the links right between things. But starting with Melinda. No. no, just introducing. Then you say who wants to talk first. But Melinda Torns-Quinones is co-founder of MIL for Asian Network Philippines. Yeah? Round of applause for her, please. She deserves it. Thanks. Then we have Lai Cheng Wong, which is also co-founder of MIL for Asian Network from Malaysia. We have Ruth Rismanta Silalahi, communication lecturer from UPN Veteran Jakarta, co-founder of Redaksi Indonesia. And I have here a friend that I like very much. He has the name also of a prince. Yeah, Jose Ruben Alagaran II. Oh. He's the president emeritus of the Philippine Associations for Media Information Literacy and professor and chair, PhD from Communication Program of the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. So a round of applause for Joey. So, since I will come up with history a little bit, since the radio pops up and the mass communication means, education tried to deal with communication technology somehow because everybody starts to produce content, not only the school, not only the books, not only the institutions, but people, radialists, journalists, and you don't need to even know how to read. You must listen, watch. Then you know all the story about television and how television impacted education until the 90s probably, yeah? And nowadays we have not only the digital space, but we have artificial intelligence as well, mediating our relation with the world. And somehow, all the world in a different way is trying to develop programs, educational programs to make students from the early age, from kindergarten until lifelong learning process to deal with this new mediation, this disinformation background that we have, an excess of information, a lot of different problems, ethical problems that impacts our daily lives. So some of them call this concept or this practice media and information literacy. Some of them call media education. Some of them call information literacy. There are a lot of different names, but digital literacy for sure, it's a core part of the entire process. Yeah, should be underneath this umbrella or it should be itself. Some people don't use the media and information literacy term, just use digital literacy. It's okay, since it's working. It's okay if it's working. So the first round of questions is, I like to make it conceptual a little bit, trying to localize within your countries how digital literacy pops up. Is it, how does it's conceptualized and how does it pops up? What term do you use and how is being used among the community? Who wants to start? Maybe Lai? Or yeah. No, I prefer the ladies.
Mike, okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, in the Philippines, it started out as a media education. In fact, the very first few institutions which started the media education movement in the country are church organizations. Church organizations because the church realized the need for understanding media, how media influences individuals. And then the Catholic schools in the Philippines pick it up and they started offering media education as electives, as an elective in the high school. But after some time, in 2011, because UNESCO changed the term to media and information literacy, so we decided to adopt the new term, and this time it's now MIL education. So why this came up? Because of media convergence again. That in one platform like the computer, apart from the fact that you can surf information from the internet, you could also watch your favorite videos there. You can also listen to your podcasts. So that's about media convergence. And I think that is the main reason why UNESCO decided to put together information literacy and media literacy. As far as digital literacy is concerned, it may or may be separated from the MIL concept, but I just like to mention that it is actually embedded in the original concept of MIL as conceptualized by UNESCO. I understand it's under the media literacy component, knowing that digital media is part of media literacy. But in 2021, when the curriculum, UNESCO curriculum for teachers was revised, so UNESCO decided to separate digital literacy. So it's now a convergence of info literacy, media literacy, and digital literacy. And I can also understand that because of the complexities that surround digital technologies, the use of digital technologies. So it's basically about a set of competencies that for us to function effectively in a society where people are heavily reliant on digital technology. So that's how I see it. But it's not just about gadgets and software, but we should also be able to understand that there is something behind in the use of technologies, and this is about the concept of using it more effectively, responsibly, and critically as well. So this is very important now because for some organizations in the Philippines, they look at digital literacy as simply the use of productivity tools. But in reality, it should go beyond the productivity tools to include understanding online behavior in the way we use media. We know this very well that we are now being influenced by all these technologies in the way we make important decisions. So it is important that we should also be able to understand safety, protection, what else, and maybe also, yeah, privacy. Thank you for that. Okay, so these are all interrelated, and I think when we do understand digital literacy, then we will really be able to empower ourselves, and I think that's the ultimate goal of the MIL movement. And in the process, we will now be able to make ourselves more resilient to do misinformation, disinformation, and other ill effects of manipulated content.
Very nice, Joey. I think it's good that you underline that we are talking about an ethical response for using technology. I think, and we are talking about development of skills too, not only to accept. So we are letting aside an instrumental view of technology, or just accepting the technology in itself, but we are responding. The society is responding to a new way of building knowledge and live. So Ruth, and in Indonesia here where we are.
Yeah, I'm going to take us back to the basic principles of literacy. When we talk about literacy, what generally springs to mind is reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Those are foundational elements of literacy. But since we people today have different style of types of expressions and communications, then the concept of literacy is beginning to develop into the ability to share meaning through various symbol systems in order to particularly act or behave in the online world. And when we talk about any kind of literacy terms, there are so many literacy terms: informations literacy, media literacy, news literacy, visual literacy, and digital literacy. And those terms are actually have been emerging for the past 60 years. But those terms actually reflect on the disciplinary background of the stakeholders and also the scope of knowledge and skills within the terms. But we cannot see those terms competing for each other. They actually come from the set of family of literacy. And having digital literacy requires more than just ability to use software and operate digital devices, but it includes a complex of skills like motoric skills, cognitive skills, sociological skills, and also emotional skills. Like when you said act responsibly, act ethically, it also involves emotional skills. So we can, act accordingly or appropriately in the digital world. In Indonesia, we have a national digital literacy movement. We use digital literacy. And digital literacy in Indonesia have 4 pillars: digital skills, digital ethics, digital culture, and digital safety. Yeah, that's from Indonesia. Thank you.
Very nice. You remind us that, it reminds me a little bit that Paulo Freire, you don't know the Brazilian educator, Paulo Freire, he used to say, with literacy, we read the word and we read the world too. And I think when we talk about digital literacy, we are doing the same thing. We need to read the word or the image or the videos or the AI, but we are reading the world at the end. And so, and give meanings to that, exactly. Thank you very much, Ruth. You're gonna be back to this. Miss Lai, Miss Wong.
Hi.
Thank you so much. I'd like to know a little bit about Malaysia, but also about some aspects that you find in the region, because I know you act also in the region.
All right. Thank you, Alex and panel. All right. Very good morning. So I just want to start my remarks with by sharing a quote from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development that says that high quality education actually means fostering strong digital literacy. All right. So what do you mean by digital literacy is actually the ability to access, evaluate, analyze, create, act, and reflect on information and knowledge safely and effectively. All right. So if I were to relate this to the basic definition of digital literacy by UNESCO, all right, in 2018, digital literacy is actually encompassed of other forms of literacy, which includes computer literacy, ICT literacy, information literacy, and media literacy. So for today's topic, I would like to dive into MIL, which is media and information literacy. So according to the MIL guru, Randy Hobson, she defined that a person who is actually media literate should actually have the five of these competencies. Means you have the capability to access, all right, digital media, to look for content, knowledge, resources. You must have the ability to be able to analyze, evaluate information, right? Ask critical questions like who created this content, when this content was created, why this content was created, and who paid for this content, all right? And you also need to have the ability to create content effectively by using various tools. Those days, like what our two speakers, panelists has mentioned, we create content using traditional media like prints, television, and now with Web 2.0, Web 3.0, we have new technologies coming up like AI. So people are using various digital technology tools to create content, all right? So, and the fourth competency is to reflect. How does the content that I've been receiving impact my emotions, impact my decisions in life? And finally, act. How am I going to use this information to solve existing problem in my community? All right, so these are the five main competencies that we have in the definition of digital literacy. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. And Melinda, as Joyce said, the landscape of Philippines a little bit, but you have your eye on the Asian countries, yes, with the organization. Do you see difference there on the concept? How do you define it? How do you think it's more used here, the concept or spread?
Thank you for that question, and good morning to everyone. Digital and media information literacy are different literacies altogether. They can be treated as a separate standalone subject to discuss about and talk about, but the basic of all is developing the critical thinking skills. Like in all of the discussions we had yesterday, I would like to, let me just weave together the discussions we had yesterday here. Yesterday we discussed about building communities. And in essence, when you build communities, you have to have the basic access, of course, so that you can gather people in one accord, right? And then the issue of choosing, selecting media that's part of producing. Now, I would like also to add up to Ms. Cheng Wong said that there are competencies needed to do that, no, to produce information. And yesterday we also tackled about fact-checking and verification. So that's the kind of literacy skills you also apply both in media and digital literacy. And also we discuss about futures thinking that's reflective and acting on the information that you receive. So I guess across all the discussions yesterday, it's very important that we know how to create critical thinking skills. And across the ASEAN region these days, not all countries have media education in place, specifically for MIL. And technology is moving faster, and governments have to keep up. But the education sector has also to double time in catching up with all of these different technologies coming to us. The good thing about digital and media information literacy is that it gives us the agency to navigate through these technologies as an extension of ourselves. Like we have this cell phone gadgets and laptops and what have you, but to use it properly to our advantage for social good, for common good, is something that we can only develop if we have in place a media education, proper media education. So I think that goes for the entire Southeast Asia region.
Thanks so much for bringing the content of yesterday. I think it makes all the sense here when you link with the yesterday. And it's important I just like to underline the title of this session because I didn't mention it properly. Full title. It's very interesting because the session calls Digital Literacy for the Web 3.0. Yeah, exploring essential skills such as critical thinking, media literacy, data privacy, and digital citizenship. So we are talking about this in somehow in different ways. I mean, and there's one thing, Melinda, that you touched that I think is very important. We are not talking about digital literacy here as a silver bullet. It's important when we build community and we strengthen community to take a look in other stakeholders and other actions that can compose a kind of complex ecosystem that involves somehow regulation, involves somehow fact-checking by the media organizations, not only the school itself. So it's a complex landscape that we are trying to connect an educational form or an ethical response within this puzzle. Yeah, this jigsaw puzzle that we're making here. So my next question, I'm really curious to know, because we talk conceptually, we talk about the skills, but since I came from a different region and I learned with you what's going on here, I don't know Asia so widely, so I'm starting to know Asia, and I love Asia. I like to be in other countries, but I like to know how it goes down to the points. And what I mean, we have the concept, sometimes we have the movement, as you say, Ruth, sometimes we have the public policy, but how does it go to the edge? I mean, to the kids, to the students, to the adults, to the elderly. Does it happen? Or is just more an academic discourse somehow, or a political discourse in times of election? Or, I'd like to know, how does it come to the edge, to the people at the point that are most interested in these aspects that we are talking here? So I think we can follow up with Joe, starting with Joe. Yeah.
I think we need to initially understand the context first, why MI has to be propagated and cascaded to different organizations. Actually, it was relatively unknown, in our country until 2016, when it was finally included, MIL as a subject in the senior high school curriculum. But at the time, and that precisely was the reason why we created Philippine Association for Media and Information Literacy, because we saw the need for training teachers, because they really, at the time, they didn't know how to be able to teach the course. And because it's a requirement now that all children, all pupils should take MIL, so it's really going to be a problem. So we went on training people. We also organized some webinars and also started developing certain materials that the teachers will be able to use. And then the other organizations in the Philippines followed suit. and they have their own versions. I think some of the representatives of the MIL movements in the Philippines are also here. So some would focus on fact-checking, still others would have media analysis or evaluation projects. But I also would like to say that it goes beyond fact-checking. It's also important to understand that we should also be able to teach the children how to deconstruct media messages. And when we speak of deconstructing media messages, that they should be able to read between the lines, that when they come across certain media texts, they know what is hidden in the images, what is being conveyed, but what is the meaning of these images, and so on and so forth. That's very important, the fact that we are all very much engrossed in watching television, soap opera, K-drama in particular in the Philippines, and also advertisements which use very powerful techniques to be able to entice more consumers to buy the product. So I think at that early, while they are maybe enrolled in the elementary level, children of today should be trained how to be able to more or less understand media texts, what the media texts are trying to convey to all of us. There is really a new phenomenon, the new child of media. The new child of media is multisensorial. That's the reason why, maybe while listening to me now, you may be also using your earphone, listening to your favorite music. So it's now a phenomenon in itself. At the same time, we also, the generation now is more feeling-oriented rather than reason-oriented. So they're highly emotional. And I think that's the reason why we get easily influenced by media manipulations, because we don't think anymore. We simply would accept them as truth and as gospel truth, and sometimes we do not process anymore. So my point there is that maybe at that early, while children are trying to learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, that they could integrate media literacy into how to be able to read media texts. That's part of reading. Or numeracy, how the numbers game, what the numbers tell us, and how the numbers also manipulate us. Like for example, when we say the number one brand in something, okay? That's already about numbers, and that may be attributed to mathematics. And also the other ones, so reading, writing, writing of course, because when we get to write, remember we are the producers of information. Whenever we write, we should always be responsible, we should always be ethical. Now that we use AI tools, for example, that we should also be careful in the way we use AI. Of course, the AI now can already write everything for you. But what will happen if we do not train children at this early about the ill effects of AI? I am not against AI. The point is that we have to embrace AI. But are we ready? Are there policies in place to be able to make our children more aware and more prepared, again, for these technologies that have come to our lives?
Ruth, here in Indonesia.
Yeah, I want to add on what you said about digital literacy is not a silver bullet. Actually, there is a journal. The title is Citizen versus the Internet. And there are actually 4 entry points that can be used for interventions. The first entry point is law and ethics. The second point is technology. The third point is educations. That's where we come. Critical thinking, media literacy, And then the fourth one is psychological and behavioral interventions, because the user is human. So the fourth one is actually very important. And when Joy talked about the generations uses feeling more than the rationality, all of us actually not an objective a human being, because when we talk about critical thinking, we talk as if it's an easy thing to do. It's very hard to do. I don't want to do it. It's tiring. We are a cognitive miser human being. When we talk about critical thinking, then we need to be open-minded. It's not just like whether this is true, whether this is not true, but we need to be open-minded of other perspectives than us. Then when we are ready to accept that there are people who has different perspectives, opinions, experiences, any kind of backgrounds, then we can do critical thinking. One of the exercise that I delivered in one of the training in Indonesia was a training for teachers. And then I started the exercise with what is critical thinking and what critical thinking is not. And then based on your experience, what are factors that can support critical thinking? And then what are factors that can block critical thinking? One of the things that block critical thinking is we don't want to be different. Conformity. Because when we say something different and then we, parents get angry, and then, that's why we don't talk politics in the dinner table, right?
Friends puts you aside.
And when we talk about critical thinking, there are so many cognitive biases that we need to be aware of. I'm gonna tell you several cognitive biases that I use for my class. One is confirmation bias. We are ready to accept the informations that actually align with our belief. So when we do research, we sometimes do cherry picking. Oh, this one research aligned with my hypothesis, then I pick the articles. And then the second one is false dichotomy. False dichotomy is if I'm A, then I'm not B. If you are B, then you are not A. It's false dichotomy. And then in-group and affinity bias, when we feel that our group is better than another group. And overconfidence. There's a theory about third-person effect. This is one of my favorite theory. It says that we perceive that the negative effect or impact from the media is for the more vulnerable groups like kids, like senior citizens, not me. So I'm not gonna get impacted with hoax. I'm objective. That's overconfident. And that kind of cognitive bias that we need to be aware day by day when we receive information. And one of the exercise that I asked my participants was, I make a star. Can you guys imagine a star? And then I divided the stars into four parts. And then I give a statement like, healthcare should be free. And then I ask one person to say yes, to agree that healthcare should be free. And then the other one had healthcare should not be free. And then the first exercise is, if you say that healthcare should be free, what is the fact base? What is the fact that you use to support your argument? And then the second one is, what is the moral basis that you use to support your argument? And the third one is, how do you get this argument? Who influences you? From what group? From what sources? And then the fourth one is there any biases is there any biases that influence the argument? And then that's your argument. The second exercise is imagine someone real that has different arguments, and then start to do the first step, second step, third step, and fourth step. And then actually at the end of the session, they understand that one, they have something in common. Healthcare should be free. Healthcare should not be free. The fake basis is healthcare should be free because it's expensive for the people. Healthcare should not be free because it's expensive for the government. Because it's expensive. So we can see similarity, common ground, and then we talk more after that. That's the kind of exercise that we can use probably in your class, probably in your training for critical thinking. Thank you.
I will look at this video afterwards to take this idea. It's amazing. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I mean, we are talking about strengthening communities here in Bali, in Asia, but we need to remember that we are broadcasting for people all around. This is the reason I'm asking about how is media literacy within the countries, because there are people from all over the world watching. So, and they watch later too, because it's record on DCN channel. Yeah. So please, Ms. Wong, your turn.
Thank you.
You have your organization that you run has a lot of research, really on the field, like on the edge. How do you see it?
All right. So I just want to top up to what Ruth has mentioned. Actually, media literacy is always associated to critical thinking. All right. So a person who is actually media literate always have the capability to ask questions. All right. So just now, Ruth say, okay, a person who is media literate will be able to question who is the author of this content message and what is the purpose of sending this particular message, and at the end of the day, the economic value, as in who paid for this probably advertisement. And a person who is media literate also has the capabilities to question the message and the meanings of the message, like what Ms. Ruth has shared earlier. And they do reflections and evaluations at the end of the day, like how does this particular message actually impacted me and what kind of decisions, all right? So back to Southeast Asian, actually just based on the UNESCO Global Education Monitoring Report, media literacy is not really a subject that has been integrated in the classroom in most countries in the Southeast Asia, all right? So in the context of Malaysia, most media literacy campaigns, advocacy works are run by social enterprises, social networks. So because the rising cases of false information and fake news, people spread fake news, there's a lot of scam issues happening in the country every day. So these social groups actually, they came up with their own efforts to educate citizens with media literacy competencies. And for our context in Malaysia, most the emphasis are really focusing more on equipping citizens with digital skills. Like for example, the government actually early this year, the Prime Minister actually launched AI for Citizens program, where it's a self-learning portal that aims to increase public's understanding in AI, right? So especially most civil servants has been requested that each and every one of you to actually, you have to sit for this program where it covers basic definitions of AI, it delves into the various domains of AI, all right? So it's more on towards the tech side, rather than on the media literacy, critical thinking, all right? So, of course, the Ministry of Education Malaysia has also launched the digital education policy late last year, all right? So again, the focus is trying to educate learners by integrating digital technology into learning to create a digitally literate generation. All right, that means we want our future learners to be creative, innovative, We want them to be able to analyze data scientifically. We want them to be able to solve problems. And communication and collaboration, meaning they're able to work together, share information effectively using digital technologies. So that is the context in Malaysia. So, of course, we also have an agency called MDEC, all right? The Malaysian Digital Economic Corporation, who also runs quite a number of programs called I Am Digital. So I Am Digital, they focus on these 4 areas, as in we want citizens to be digitally literate. So what do you mean by citizens who are digitally literate? Meaning you have the capability to promote digital proficiency in daily life. You can actually explore digital platforms to expand your business operations. Means you use online platform to sell products. And digital freelancing, meaning you're able to master digital skills to generate additional income. And of course, digital career, if you have additional digital skills, you are more competitive. So this is what, in the context of Malaysia. And of course, being in the MIL ASEAN network, we always advocate that we feel that media literacy is a critical thinking skills, because a person who is media literate, you have the capability to ask relevant questions. For example, who created this? Why this was created? And you do reflection. How does this particular message actually impacted me emotionally, all right? Or probably impacted how I make decisions. So we want to view media literacy is a critical thinking life skills. It's lifelong learning. You know, like those days you use when we were young, you know, we watch televisions, newspapers. So we analyze content using the traditional media. So as you grow now, we're at this age, the Web 3.0 era, AI era. So we started to, as technology advances, so the same goes to our MIL competency. It also advances to adjust with the technology, right? So it's a lifelong learning skill. So be it whether you're at the age of 15, as you grow to 40, it's a lifelong learning competency. That's how I look at it. And of course, at the MIL ASEAN Network, we advocate to integrate MIL in the classroom, because we understand that it's hard for you to develop a curriculum and you expect teachers to, hey, I give you this particular module, you go into the classroom and you teach, because teachers are already overloaded with a lot of subjects in schools. They have a lot of responsibilities. But we want to train teachers to integrate that in a science classroom, probably in an art and history classroom, where teachers has the capability to teach students to do active learning, basic inquiry, question, why this, why it happened, why such thing happens. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Amazing. And just want for you to follow up the DCN other events, even online, because this is a topic that pops up in every event. Sometimes the event is not focused on digital literacy, but as a network of digital activists, communicators, influencers, it's important to touch this. So we have, I'm saying that because you are doing an amazing job also to researching on that. Lai's heading a research for DCN on that, on the region, which is amazing. So it's important for you. And in July, we are already fully booked, but we're going to have an event in Helsinki touching this issue. It's going to be broadcasted. So it's important for you to follow, because you're going to have people talking about that as well. And Melinda, in the Philippines, you can talk about the Asian perspective as well as Ms. Wong, but I know you were from Philippines too, and so I'm curious about that, because Philippines, when we advocate for media literacy, you need to advocate bottom up and top down, otherwise it doesn't work. So for example, if you ask some people, students in general, do you think digital literacy is important? Some of them may say, no, I don't want it. Even the teachers. Some of them may say, no, why? I want to follow up my. So we need to advocate for them as well, saying, look, the awareness, this is important, why it is important. At the same time, you need to advocate for the the policy systems, for the policymakers to be aware of this is important. I'm talking about this because you have in Philippines the National Association, and you have MIL network that you were working, Asian MIL network. So this kind of association works well to make the advocacy more efficient. This is one question. You can talk about the question you're following, but I want this additional for you.
Okay, thank you. There are a lot of MIL initiatives going on in the Philippines, but basically what Dr. Joey said, we started with the church being at the forefront, and now the civil society organizations, some of them are here now, who has been going around the country educating people on the MIL per se. No, it doesn't matter if you know what is media information literacy by definition, as long as you know how to apply it to yourself. Like when you see an information, what does this piece of information mean to me? And what does this piece of information evoke, like an emotion that is evoked on me? So those critical thinking questions, those are important at the community level. And for now, we're very happy because the government is reacting properly into the call for media information literacy advocacy. So the Philippine Presidential Communications Operations, Philippine Presidential Communications Office has been promoting MIL across the country, and they've been tapping civil society organizations. They go to the smallest unit, which is we call barangay. They go to smallest unit of the community and teach them about the basics, fact checking, deciphering information, what is to be taken lightly and what shouldn't be, what should be taken seriously, is like that. So we're starting to progress in terms of policymakers seeing into it, that it is a critical factor. And I'd like to touch on the presentation yesterday, the liar's dividend. And somehow it concerns me because when election comes, people has to know these information so that people will have the agency to dispel disinformation as they deem it. No, they see it online. And the moment that people are aware that this information is possible, then they have the capacity to neglect information, or like strategic ignorance. That's a technical term. For them to use information for their own functioning, normal functioning, no? As a voter, as an informed citizen. So these efforts, I hope, would be replicated in other countries as well, because as you say, policies should be in place in order for MIL to thrive. I mean, MIL has been there for like 60 years, no? But we don't see policies going our way, specifically in Southeast Asia. And we see there are developments in the education sector going toward that, but there's more room for improvement. And basic to that is the critical thinking skills. And we need the expertise of everyone. It's just not because it's literacy, it should be education. No? We need the expertise of everyone here in this room. You are technologists. You know your industry better than us, educators. So let us know how we can help future technologists to avoid, to be critical thinkers, to manage technology as they come, to navigate it, to think properly for themselves. You are futurists. How do you see education helping you towards that end? So I think it goes hand in hand with the community. It's not just, this session is really important to be in place in here, this discussion, to weave through together. Let's sit down together, technologists, industry experts, AI experts. Let's see how we can develop a module that will help future you. You're the people who are experts in your field, and we need people who can replicate the ones that you do, so that we can create a digital literate society. Very ASEAN.
I love it. Thanks a lot. No, it's so interesting because when I compare the Southeast Asia's landscape to the Latin America landscape, there are a lot of similarity. It's amazing. We start with media literacy with the church too, the Catholic Church. And then the challenges are quite similar too. We are advocating for a good public policy systems, otherwise it's not going to work for everyone. It needs to work for everyone. I know Indonesia has more people living than in Brazil, I think. We have 300 million people in Indonesia. Yes, we have 250 million in Brazil, and it's a lot of people. It needs to work for everyone. It's good. It's important to be for everyone. So we have similar challenges. That's so interesting. I like because today is a day for the strength the communities itself with exercise, and we're going to be together building things. Just to finalize our session, unfortunately, because it's so interesting, I'd like to let you have a quick talk about next steps, or maybe some tip that you can give to the group for the work later, or some interesting question that makes people think about the importance of media literacy, whatever you want. It's just a final word for us to finalize this. Joey.
The Philippines, despite being dubbed as the social media capital of the world, still needs media literacy. And the different organizations mentioned should really work together to make this a reality, making people more media literate and more media and information literate. And this can be done maybe by pushing for the development and implementation of a comprehensive media in information literacy curriculum. And the framers of this curriculum should by themselves media and information literates, because they cannot simply put together something that they do not know. And then number two maybe is that we should continue producing culturally sensitive and age-appropriate materials for all ages to include adults. As mentioned yesterday, this is not only for the young ones, but this should also be promoted among the adults. And thirdly, maybe, is to also continue training teachers, making them more skilled in understanding the hidden messages that I'm talking about, that even images also communicate and convey meaning, and that we should really be able to decode these images. Only through these efforts may be that we would be able to realize a media and information literate nation for all of us. So let us make media and information work for us.
Yeah, I agree that we cannot work in silos. There are 4 entry points that I mentioned before, but those entry points is actually divided into 2 categories. I-level intervention. I-level, it means individual level of interventions, and S-level of interventions. S-level is systemic level of interventions. So I-level and S-level should go together, not work in silos, not competing to each other, and also to be inclusive, because we still have digital divide. We're talking about digital literacy, we're talking about digital technologies and improvement and so on, but we need to remember that there are people who doesn't have access to internet. There are people who doesn't get gadget or devices to access online learning. So we need to keep that in mind. This digital literacy movement need to be also inclusive as well. Thank you.
So thank you. So for me, I'll say without fundamentals, innovation is pointless. So is a driverless car still a car? Yes. So it go back to the basis of education. All right. So again, teacher training, like what Dr. Alagaran has highlighted. All right, we need to equip citizens, not just teachers, educators, and learners. As I mentioned earlier, this is a lifelong learning process. So every citizens in the community should be equipped, all right, not just on targeted youth or teachers, everyone. It's a lifelong learning process. To be equipped how to use digital tools and navigate the internet safely, all right? Data privacy protection comes in, all right? And the second part is, I think, collaborating, like what Ms. Melinda has mentioned earlier on. We need to work with technologies, futurists, digital platforms, you know, to come up with policies that prioritize accurate information, all right? So we cannot work silo, all right? And then finally, it has to be inclusive, all right? In Southeast Asia, you know, some places, you know, they have limited access. You know, we have to consider other form of targeted audiences as well. So these are the key points that we have to take note as we move forward. And the most important thing is everyone, we have to work together, right? Not just the educator alone, not just the policy, even the tech companies, the tech companies. Thank you.
Since MIL for ASEAN Network focuses on integration of MIL into everyday life skills, I would like to appeal to everyone in this network to come join us in the advocacy. We need your expertise. Like, what kind of expertise we need? Financial management. You help us with all of these financial terms. When you see that there are misinformation about this economy going down because of this and this, you tell us, you speak up, because you're the expert in that field, right? If you're a producer or content producer, blogger like that, what is your content about? Is it bringing common good? Is it bringing benefit to the society? Or is it after the clout? So I think those are the things that you need MIL to, but we need your expertise. Help us. How can we gather the youth to support this advocacy? So that we can educate them as well. Because this is a society we are all in. It's like a big digital community. We are all involved in this. And if you are a consumer, you don't just consume whatever information is there. You don't always trust information as they come to you. It is critical that you evaluate, decipher. So every one of us has a stake on this issue. And I hope that you continue on with the conversation when you go back to your communities. When you go back to your respective offices, you discuss the effort of digital literacy, because please do not leave this to educators. You know better.
A multi-stakeholder approach is always better. It all makes, because the world is complex nowadays. We need multi-stakeholder views of everything. If we stay stuck in one side of the thing, it's hard to move forward. Thank you so much for being. I think it was so rich, this session. We couldn't write an article together. Thanks, Dr. Joe, Ms. Ruth, Lai, Melinda, for being here. And a round of applause for them. And we move forward with the program with my friend Dimitriadris. Oh, now it's coffee break. So this is the problem. I will ask you for a picture. This beautiful lady will make a picture of us.